me in no motherfucking rap shit by no nigga in my shop with, bro, I don't give a fuck about the agent, man, you hanging with. Ain't nobody gonna do nothing to my shop and nothing to my partner. Honeycomb Brazy, you say, are we real bloods? You know what real bloods do? Call somebody from California so they can tell you what real bloods do. This is what real bloods do. We box. We get on the hands in the grass. You say, oh, we real bloods? Honeycomb Brazy, if you do not want to box, you not no real bloods, so don't bring me up in that shit.
I don't know what these niggas on. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit crazy, though. Then I'm like, everybody weird. Like, I'm like, bro, I've been through some real shit in life. You can't just tell me. You can't hit no nigga phone and tell a nigga I'm finna pay you to stop hanging around Honeycomb. Man, you gotta give me every... Matter of fact, bitch, I'm not even finna pay a nigga. Man, I wanna smack you on the screen. Down my grandma. I'll make y'all kill me up this horn, Houston. Raw, I will make y'all murder me today.
Somebody is dead. Somebody else is sitting in a federal prison right now. And the streets are connecting dots that the blogs don't even know how to spell yet. This ain't rap beef anymore. This is real life catching up to real rappers in real time, and the body count keeps climbing. We're talking about Honeycomb Brazy and Sauce Walka, two of the most unfiltered, unapologetic street rappers alive, and their beef just crossed a line you cannot uncross. March 22nd, 2025. Broad daylight, downtown Memphis, right outside the Westin Hotel. Two men jump out of a white car and open fire. Sauce Walka's artist, Say So P real name, Later Hunt, 27 years old, dies on the pavement. Sauce catches one in the thigh. Memphis PD calls it a targeted incident, meaning somebody planned this. Somebody wanted them there. Then there's Honeycomb Brazy, December 2023, pulled over on Interstate 65 near Mobile, Alabama, a Smith & Wesson AR pistol within arm's reach. FBI already watching him for years. He pleads guilty in July 2024 on a federal gun charge felon, in possession of a firearm, and the judge sends him back behind the wall for 2.5 to 3.5 years. Two rappers, two cities, two situations, but one interconnected web of street politics, gang affiliations, loyalty codes, and consequences building since 2021. The mainstream media tells you Sauce Walka got shot and Honeycomb caught a federal charge, but they won't connect the timeline, name the players, or show you exactly how we got here. That's what we do. Lock in. Now, before anything else, you need to understand who Honeycomb Brazy really is. Not a rapper who invented a street image, but a man the streets built, broke, and rebuilt. Born Nashon Jones in Mobile, Alabama, September 15th, 1993, in the Happy Hills neighborhood formerly known as Africa Town, one of the most historically significant yet overlooked communities in Black America. His father, a crime boss, was in prison. His mother, also incarcerated. So Honeycomb was raised by his aunt and his grandparents, Tony and Layla Lewis, two people who would later become central to the most heartbreaking chapter of his life. At just 13 years old, his own father called from behind bars and directed him to shoot his cousin over stolen money. The cousin was left paralyzed. Honeycomb went on the run, a child on the streets fending for himself. By his early 20s, he'd already survived 2 prison stints, a second-degree murder charge that was later dropped, and a record-touching robbery, assault, drugs, and guns.
He's in prison today. Brazy, his real name is Nashon Jones, pleaded guilty in July to possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. The gun wasn't his, but it was within reach in the vehicle he was riding in that got pulled over in December of 2023. 2 armed men in that vehicle who were hired to provide security admitted they were prohibited from having guns. Jones' attorney says his client's grandparents died in 2021 when gunmen fired into their house and sparked an explosion, and that Jones has faced constant violent threats.
Mobile's streets took everything from Honeycomb and gave him a worldview you cannot manufacture in a studio. He didn't become a rapper as a hobby, he became one because it was his only way out, and every song he made proved that. His 2018 track Freestyle went viral, the music video hit millions of views, and just like that, Mobile, Alabama had a rap star. By 2020, J. Prince, the legend himself, head of Rap-A-Lot Records, signed Honeycomb Brazy, That's not a small deal. Rap-A-Lot is the house that Scarface built, a label with real history, and somebody with real discernment looked at this young man and said, this is the real thing. But here's what never changed his music, couldn't let him escape the streets, because the streets never stopped coming for him. Now let's talk about Sauce Walka, real name Albert Walker, born June 29, 1990, in South Park, Southwest Houston. This is the city of DJ Screw, Scarface, UGK, Pimp C, a city that doesn't chase trends, it sets them. Sauce grew up absorbing all of that. He started rapping in 2007 under the name Awak, repping a Houston group called Most Hard. By 2014, he rebranded as Sauce Walka, formed the Sauce Twins with his partner Sancho Saucy, launched his own independent label, The Sauce Factory, and carved out a lane in Houston's rap scene that was entirely his own. Then in 2015, he did something that put him on the national radar. He beefed with Drake. Not a subliminal, not a tweet, a full diss track over Drake's back-to-back instrumental, accusing him of coming to Houston Appreciation Weekend, exploiting the city's culture and giving nothing real back. The internet exploded. Sauce Walka went from regional rapper to a name people outside Houston were actually saying out loud. But Sauce never pretended to be soft. Back in 2009, he was charged with deadly conduct after shooting and wounding someone at a concert at Texas Southern University. He pled guilty and served community supervision.
In concert on the campus of Texas Southern University in Houston ended in bloodshed Wednesday night following a drive-by shooting that police believe was gang-related. The school says 6 people were shot and have been treated for serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Witnesses tell police that one car drove by and opened fire on a parking lot where a popular Houston rapper was promoting community service and voter registration.
By 2018, Texas state court documents officially labeled the Sauce Factory a documented gang known for criminal activity. Sauce Walka pushed back hard and publicly calling it a record label, not a gang.
He is a bona fide rap sensation with millions of views for his music videos. But investigators say this group known as the Sauce Factory is a documented gang. The group's name even mentioned as part of a recent federal court case involving sex trafficking. Channel 2 Investigates began digging into the Sauce Factory back in July. Tonight, investigator Robert Arnold talks with the Sauce Factory's leader, who is responding to the allegations.
But the streets knew what time it was, and so did law enforcement. This man had Sauce tattooed across his forehead, no apologies, no filter, no fear. Honeycomb and Sauce Walka came from 2 different cities with 2 different styles, but ran on the exact same energy, keep it real, no matter the cost. By 2021, both of them were navigating dangerously turbulent waters, and this is exactly when their paths started crossing in ways that created real, lasting friction. Then came November 2020. Honeycomb Brazy is on Instagram Live, just talking to fans when shots ring out on camera in real time. He gets hit. The entire internet watches it happen live. This wasn't the first time he'd been shot, not even close, but watching it unfold on screen shook people to their core, because it confirmed something nobody could deny anymore. The danger surrounding this man was not a performance. It never was. It was constant, it was real, and it was closing in.
We said we would get up to about 150, 200, we're gonna run it.
Yeah. All right, before the show.
Before the show, man, y'all already know, y'all know how money bag yo need that shit, man. Y'all know what's going on, man.
I want to see happy ending,
February 17th, 2021, the worst night of Honeycomb Brazy's life, and the details matter, so pay attention. Honeycomb had a long-standing beef with Darren Southall, an accused drug kingpin out of Mobile. It started back in 2016 when Honeycomb shot and killed a man named Lyrius Moore, who had kicked down a door to confront him over a woman, his own girlfriend, who had been sleeping with Honeycomb. Things went left. Moore died. The murder charge was eventually dropped given the circumstances, but that meant nothing to Darren Southall Moore's uncle, a man who wanted blood in return and was willing to wait for it. Around that same time, Honeycomb's associate, Alabama, Rapper Peasy posted something on Facebook disrespecting Southall's crew. Both Peasy and Honeycomb were unreachable. So Southall made a calculated, cold-blooded decision. He sent 3 men, Terrence Watkins, Jamarcus Chambers, and Patrick Lewis, to the one place he knew would destroy Honeycomb the most, his grandparents' home on Dr. Thomas Avenue. At the exact moment Honeycomb was watching on a video call, those 3 men pulled up and opened fire. Tony Lewis, 62 years old, Honeycomb's grandfather, was struck multiple times and died from his wounds. Layla Lewis, 68, his grandmother, was already battling COVID-19 and was connected to an oxygen tank. When the bullets hit that tank, the house exploded. She burned to death. The blaze consumed a nearby house, too. Federal investigators had already been tapping Southall's phone and captured recordings of the entire plot being planned. A detective testified in court that those recordings were sickening. Assistant District Attorney Lewis Walker stated in court that the home was targeted specifically because it would hurt Jones. Let that land. They didn't just kill 2 elderly people, they murdered the grandparents who raised him because they couldn't get to him directly.
Lord, I hope ain't nobody up in that house.
A February night of horror caught on camera. Innocent grandparents Tony and Layla Lewis found dead inside their burned-out Happy Hills home. Mobile investigators say Tony was shot to death before his house was set on fire. Their murders said to be retaliation for some beef their grandson and local rapper Honeycomb Brazy had with a rival group. For 3 months, Fox News has continued to ask Mobile police for any leads in the unsolved case. And new tonight, Mobile's Chief of Staff James Barber with a big one. He tells me this man, Darren Southall, is a person of interest in the Lewis murders. A law enforcement source adding to that, telling me investigators believe it may have been a murder for hire. Southall is a dangerous man, according to Barber, and his rap sheet backs that up. He's been in and out of Mobile and Baldwin County jails since the 90s. He's currently accused by the feds of being head of a multi-million-dollar Gulf Coast drug ring that sold crack and powder cocaine, fentanyl, and other drugs.
They wanted him to feel it, and he did. Honeycomb went straight to Instagram. Long live Grandma and Grandpa. Y'all was my heart for real. I put y'all in every song. Y'all got caught up in my street beef. I beg y'all forgive me. Y'all taught me how to be a stand-up guy, he clarified. Publicly that his grandparents didn't die from the fire, they died because the gunfire struck the oxygen tanks and caused them to explode. Then in June 2021, his mother's house was shot up in the middle of the night. She wasn't home, but the message was crystal clear. The war on Honeycomb's family was not over. This is exactly where Sauce Walka enters the frame in a way that had the blogs on fire. November 2021. Honeycomb is at his absolute lowest. Grandparents murdered. Mother's house shot up. Back in prison on parole violations, watching everything collapse from behind bars. And in that exact window, Sauce Walka and fellow rapper Amna Hellcat chose to have words directed at Honeycomb's situation. The internet picked it up immediately, and the videos went viral. Now let's be real. There are layers here the streets understand better than the internet ever will. When a man is locked up, can't defend himself publicly, and other rappers choose that specific moment to step on his name, that's not just talk. That's a statement about where your loyalty stands. In the world these men operate in, perception is currency and protection. And when your perception takes a hit while you're sitting in a cell, you feel it. You remember it. Sauce Walka has never sugarcoated anything in his life. That's what built his career. But in street politics, timing is everything. And the timing of those words with Honeycomb at rock bottom was absolutely noted. Fast forward to November 2023, Honeycomb Brazy walks out of prison after serving time on parole violations. He came out ready, came out talking, came out making music. He'd survived the worst stretch of his life, watched his people fall, and was back on his feet, or so it seemed. But while he was gone, Rap-A-Load had moved on, bringing in Finesse 2 times. So Honeycomb was back on the streets with something to prove, beefs multiplying from every direction and responding to all of it at full volume. Then, December 18, 2023, a Mobile County Sheriff's deputy on a federal task. Force pulls over a 2022 Cadillac Escalade on Interstate 65 near the General W.K. Wilson Bridge. Windows too tinted. Car lingered too long in the passing lane. Routine stop, except nothing about Honeycomb Brazy is ever routine. Agents search the vehicle and find a Smith & Wesson MP15 AR pistol within immediate reach. Convicted felon. Can't touch a firearm. Taken into custody on the spot. But here's the detail that made people stop cold. Special Agent Evan Fisher testified in federal court that the FBI already knew Honeycomb was out and moving before that traffic stop ever happened. When pressed on why they were watching him, Fisher wouldn't expand, but he said enough. Honeycomb Brazy had been the subject of multiple federal investigations for years. The feds weren't stumbling across him. They were waiting on him. That stop was not random. July 25th, 2024 Honeycomb. Brazy pleads guilty in federal court felon in possession of a firearm. Prosecutors and defense jointly recommended 2.5 to 3.5 years. U.S. District Judge Christy Dubose set sentencing for October 25th. Just like that, the man who walked out in November 2023 was going back behind the wall in less than a year. Now let's talk about Memphis. March 22nd, 2025, Saturday afternoon, Sauce Walka and his artist Say So P, real name Later Hunt, are outside the Westin Hotel on Lieutenant George W. Lee Avenue in downtown Memphis. Broad daylight, people everywhere, normal Saturday activity. Just before 2:45 p.m., a white car pulls up. Two men step out and open fire directly at Sauce and Say So. Memphis PD Assistant Chief Don Crow confirmed it himself. This was a targeted incident. The victims and suspects knew each other. Say So P Later Hunt, 27 years old, dies at the scene. Sauce Walka takes a bullet to the thigh and is rushed to Regional 1 Hospital in non-critical condition. His father, Papa Sauce, goes on camera confirming his son is coherent and expected to survive. Sauce posts from the hospital, he's alive. Two suspects are identified: Jaden Dandridge, 21, and Kevin Brown, 22. Memphis police release footage and issue warrants. And then something nobody saw coming. Jaden Dandridge turns up dead in Houston, Texas, the exact city Sauce Walka built his empire in. The man who shot Sauce ends up dead in Sauce's own city before he ever sees a courtroom. Memphis. PD cancels his warrant. Dead men don't go to court. The second suspect, Kevin Brown, stays on the run for months until U.S. Marshals catch him in Clarksville, Tennessee in October 2025. He's charged with first-degree murder and 2 counts of employing a firearm during a dangerous felony. The case is still moving through courts. Now let's be clear about something: nobody officially connected those dots for the public. No police statement linked Dandridge's death in Houston to anything surrounding this case. But the streets don't need a press release. Somebody moved. Somebody settled something. And it got handled in the very city where Sauce Walka built everything. Here's what both of these men have in common beyond music. Both have been categorized by law enforcement as embedded in documented criminal activity. Not blog rumors, not rap personas, actual court documents and federal filings. Sauce Walka's label was described in Texas state court documents as a documented gang. Honeycomb's entire career has run under FBI surveillance. When men operating at that level have friction, the stakes are on a completely different plane. Resolution doesn't come through a mediator and a handshake. History has shown us that repeatedly. Think about the timing of Sauce Walka's words toward Honeycomb in November 2021. Grandparents just murdered, mother's house shot up, back in prison on parole violations, watching his label shift resources away from him, drowning in grief most people will never understand. And in that exact window, Sauce Walka and Omna Hellcat chose to step on his name publicly. In street code, that is a calculated move. It either comes from genuine pre-existing disrespect or from an attempt to cement status at someone else's expense. And when Honeycomb gets out and starts talking, he's not forgetting that. Men like Honeycomb Brazy keep receipts. They remember exactly who said what when they were down. Here's another layer people sleep on. Sauce Walka has been vocal, fearless, and confrontational his entire career. He went after Drake when Drake was the biggest artist on the planet. He had words for 21 Savage. He doesn't back down from anybody. But that same energy that built his career is the exact same energy that makes him a target. When you speak with the authorities Sauce Walka speaks with, people test it. People want to see if you actually stand behind what you say. And the streets of Houston have their own dangerous undercurrents. The Sauce Factory was already flagged by Texas state authorities for gang ties. His artist Say So P was killed in a confirmed targeted hit in Memphis, and one of the shooters ended up dead in Houston before ever facing charges. The internet wants to make this about bars and social media. The streets know this started long before any camera was rolling. Here's where things stand right now. Sauce Walka survived. Less than 2 weeks after taking a bullet in the thigh, the man was on a wheelchair performing on stage in front of thousands. That video went viral because that kind of refusal to let violence pause your life is a very specific energy. Some called it inspiring. Others called it reckless. The streets called it real. But Say So P is gone. Later Hunt, 27 years old, wasn't just Sauce Walka's artist. He was somebody's son, somebody's friend, another young black man from the South whose life ended before it was supposed to, in a parking lot in broad daylight. The blogs gave him 3 days of coverage and moved on. His family doesn't get to move on that fast. Honeycomb Brazy is locked up again, the same man who watched his grandparents die on a video call, had his mother's house shot up, lost his label deal, came home, and immediately caught a federal weapons charge is back behind a wall counting days. His RN4AL Real Nabs for Life is still out there. His music is still streaming. His name still rings. But the man himself is not free. The internet wants closure, wants someone to officially declare what this beef is about, who started it, who's winning. But that's not how this works. Real beefs don't have press releases. Real beefs don't get resolved in interviews. When both sides are navigating federal charges, shootings, deaths, and active investigations, the beef takes on a life completely, separate from anything either man intended. There are people in this story who aren't rappers, don't have Instagram pages or YouTube channels, people who move in the background and make decisions that put bodies on pavement. Those people don't care about the music. They care about the code. And the code is simple disrespect gets a response. Someone from your circle gets touched, there's a response. Someone talks while you're locked up and can't defend yourself, you remember it, and eventually, there's a response. The streets have been watching this situation build for years. The bodies are the proof. Let's keep it completely real. We are watching a pattern hip-hop keeps refusing to name out loud. 2 of the most authentic, unfiltered street rappers of their generation, men who built entire careers on saying exactly what they mean. And both of their lives are defined by violence, federal charges, and body counts inside their circles. Not because they're bad people, but because the environment that built them doesn't negotiate. It doesn't hand out passes because Jay Prince signed you or because you run your own label. The streets don't care about your discography. Honeycomb Brazy rapped about watching people die, about prison, about loyalty and grief, then lived every single one of those topics on camera and in court documents. His grandparents weren't a metaphor, they were murdered because of a Facebook post. The most innocent people in his life paying for enemies who couldn't reach him directly. Even that level of tragedy couldn't break the cycle. Sauce Walka built his brand on no filter, no fear, never backing down, dissed the biggest rapper alive without flinching. Fled police at 130 mph, then performed the next night, took a bullet in Memphis, and was back on a wheelchair stage weeks later. That refusal to stand down is what makes him legendary and what makes him a permanent target. The stakes in his game have no ceiling. Nobody in hip-hop wants to answer the real question, when does it stop? The talent is there. Honeycomb could have had a long career if the streets and courts let him breathe. Sauce Walka dropped 6 albums in 1 year. These are not men with nothing to offer, but the culture celebrates them in the storm and moves on when consequences hit. We clap when Sauce wheels back onto that stage. We share the Honeycomb interview, clips. Then Say So P dies at 27 outside a Memphis hotel, and we give it 3 days before scrolling away. Nobody asks the real questions. The cycle keeps running because nobody breaks it. This beef is a window into what happens when talented men come from environments never designed to protect them, when authenticity meets street politics and the music stops and real life takes over. Somebody's artist is in the ground. Somebody's in federal prison. One shooter turned up dead in a city neither man is from. The other ran for months before U.S. Marshals caught him. People are walking around right now who know exactly what happened and exactly why. Both these men are real in ways the industry never contained, and that's the tragedy. It's never the main characters who pay the highest price. It was Later Hunt, outside that Memphis hotel. It was Tony and Layla Lewis on Dr. Thomas Avenue. Always the ones closest to the flame who burn first. If this opened your eyes, like, subscribe, share this with someone who needs the full picture, not just the headlines. Stay safe out there. This ain't entertainment. This is real life, and real life doesn't have a pause button.